I know this video is a bit longer than the videos that I normally do, but in this video you'll gain so many insights that you won't find anywhere else from a goalkeeper who has been in your shoes, felt these fears and learned how to overcome them. So watch till the end, guys. I promise you, if you use my tips, strategies and insights, you'll become a much better goalkeeper. So watch till the end, it will be a good one, guys. So let's face it, being a goalkeeper in football is probably one of the most frightening positions all across sports. In this video, I'm gonna help you overcome the most common fears that goalkeepers face, be it in training, be it in matches, or just in life in general. I'll cover fears such as the fear of diving, the fear of the ball, and I'll even touch upon the fear of crosses and cutbacks. So watch till the end, I think it'll be a good one. Fear as a goalkeeper is probably the most normal thing about being a goalkeeper. And by you admitting these fears, you're already one step ahead of 95% of goalkeepers who have the same fears. I used to be very afraid of playing football, which hindered me playing up to the best of my abilities, so I know exactly how it feels to feel fear. In training, it was very easy. I loved training. My team was almost always winning. But when I got to matches, I didn't always feel that I was at the peak of my performance, and this was down to fear. I was afraid every time there was a goal kick because I didn't work enough on my distribution, and every time there was a goal kick, I felt like everyone was watching me, and every time I didn't get the length, the distance, the height of my goal kick, it was almost as if I could hear the people in the crowd talking about it, even though this was only going on in my head. I was simply afraid of playing football, which once led to me retiring from football when I was only 23 years of age. I couldn't handle the unrealistic pressure that I put on myself. Every time I let a goal in, I felt like it was my fault. Thankfully, I started playing football again. As I got older and more experienced, I got to the national team, and they had a sports psychologist who really helped me dive deep into the root of my problems. And after this, football actually became fun. It was a lot easier to play games. I didn't feel the same nerves as I did before. I didn't feel anxious before games. I could now relax and just focus on my football and being the best goalkeeper that I could be. This also led to some championships and also being voted Goalkeeper of the Year in my country, something that I never ever thought that I could achieve before starting believing in myself. The first step to overcome the fear is to accept the fear as a part of the game. When you realize that all goalkeepers have felt this way at some point in their career, it will also become a lot easier to accept. One of my favorite goalkeeping quotes comes from Gigi Buffon when he said, "Everyone is afraid. Sometimes, if they say otherwise, they are lying." Now that you know that feeling fear is normal in football, it's time for you to do something about it. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to reflect on what makes you afraid. It can be pre-game nerves. You might be afraid of making mistakes. You might be afraid of letting your teammates down, your coach, your family, whatever it should be. It's time for you to reflect on what makes you nervous. Once you've found what makes you feel fear, I want you to go and write it down on a piece of paper, in a book. And when you realize what makes you feel fear, I want you to go even deeper. Why do you feel these fears? Is it maybe because you have a weaker diving side? Or you may be afraid of getting hit by the ball? Or you may be afraid of going out for crosses? Whatever it should be, I want you to write it down so you can start working on it. We'll touch upon these subjects later in this video, but for now, I want you to go and write down the different causes that makes you feel the fear that you feel, whatever it should be. Once you've identified what makes you feel this fear, it's time to set clear and realistic goals on how to overcome this fear. For example, if you have a weaker diving side, you can set a goal that you'll practice diving at least 3 times a week. This is a great goal to set yourself and something that all goalkeepers should do, but we want to break the goal into even smaller steps than that. Think of your goals as a step in a staircase. If you want to get to one place, you have to take all the other steps to get to the top of the staircase. So for example, if you want to get better at catching high balls, your first goal should be to work on your timing. Your next goal should be to work on your vertical jump to get as high as possible. Then you should work on catching the ball as high as possible. And in the end, you can even work on catching the ball under pressure, making it a real game scenario. This is only one example. You can obviously break every goal into smaller steps. By doing this, the goal doesn't seem so unrealistic or daunting, but if you focus on each step in the staircase, it becomes a lot easier for you to reach each small step before getting to the top of the staircase. So now you've identified what makes you nervous, the root to your problems, and also set realistic, clear goals on how to overcome them. It's now time to develop your positive mindset. When I was younger, I used to blame myself for every goal that I conceded. Whether I had the fault or it was someone else, I used to talk negatively to myself. I used to shout at myself. I used to have inner thoughts telling myself that I was not good enough, I was slow, my goal kicks were bad. And even when I got the ball, but instead of keeping the ball first time, but bounced it to the ground, I used to tell myself, why can't you catch the ball properly? All these negative thoughts, all this negative self-talk developed a fear inside myself. In the end, as I kept telling myself all these things, my mind started believing it. So I don't want you to commit the same mistakes which I did. Start developing a positive self-talk. Instead of telling yourself that you're not good enough, tell yourself that you're working hard every day to improve your game. And maybe if you have a weaker diving side, instead of telling yourself that you can't dive to that side, tell yourself that you're working hard every day to practice that side, so one day it will become as good as your good diving side. Having a positive self-talk is crucial in overcoming anxiety and pre-game nerves to make you perform to the best of your abilities. Another strategy that I discovered far too late is visualization. Visualization is when you use your brain to picture successful outcomes. For example, if your distribution is not good enough, you can actually lay in your bed at home visualizing a successful goal kick and become better at kicking goal kicks. If you're not familiar with visualization, this might seem odd, but the better you become at visualization and the more realistic your image in your brain becomes, the harder the brain has to distinguish between what's real and what's your imagination. So you can actually lay in your bed practicing your goal kicks. This will massively increase your abilities as a goalkeeper and also help you overcome any nerves or anxiety that you have about being a goalkeeper. You can use visualization every night, 10 minutes before you fall asleep. This is a great way of falling asleep, but it's also a great way of becoming a better and less nervous goalkeeper. The last technique or strategy that I want to talk about is mindfulness. In more common terms, it's also called breathing. Mindfulness or breathing is when you sit by yourself, you have your headphones on, and you're fully focused on being present, about being in the now, and forgetting everything else. When you practice mindfulness or breathing, the way I learned it is to inhale in 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then slowly breathe out for 4 seconds, and again hold your breath for 4 seconds and do it all over again. In the beginning, this might seem hard, but as you get more and more used to it, you can use it wherever you want. I especially used it before games, when after the tactical meeting I went by myself and I sat there for 10 or 15 minutes with my headphones on, only thinking about the game, and I used my breathing to calm my nerves. As I naturally am very nervous before games, this massively helped me to relax before games. And also during games, especially if my team was leading by 1 goal and you get these thoughts, you can't concede a goal now, what if I make a mistake? I used the breathing to relax myself and just think about the next ball, the next ball, the next ball. So mindfulness is not only a strategy that you can use before games, but it's also a strategy that you can use during games. These strategies have helped me massively throughout my goalkeeping career. I'm just sad that I didn't figure them out before, then I could utilize them even before in my career. But now you know them, now you can use them to calm your nerves, play to the best of your abilities, to relax before games and during games. So that was pre-game nerves and anxiety and pressure. I hope you got something out of that section in this video. Please use the comment section down below and share with me what you thought the best tip was that you can use in your game. Also, if you find this video valuable so far, please do not hesitate to like and subscribe to our channel. Now let's cover the fear of making mistakes. One of the biggest fears that goalkeepers have is the fear of making mistakes. Being a goalkeeper is a very unique position. It's probably the position in all of sports that's the most difficult struggle to be in, especially psychologically. We know that making one small mistake, such as passing the ball to the opposition or giving a small rebound, will most likely cost a goal. When you chose to be a goalkeeper, you chose the hardest position in all of sports. But as you get better, as you gain more confidence, you also realize that this is probably one of the most given positions as well. Only as a goalkeeper, but also as a human being. What you have to accept when you chose to become a goalkeeper is that you are going to make mistakes. Even the best goalkeepers in the world make mistakes, so why shouldn't you make mistakes? And why shouldn't I make mistakes? So now that we realize that making mistakes is a part of the game, is totally normal as a goalkeeper, obviously you want to make as few mistakes as possible, but if you make no mistakes, you're doing nothing. So the question is not whether you're making a mistake or not, the question is how do you handle making a mistake? So my first tip is to reflect on your performance after the game, not during the game. If you start thinking about your mistake just when you made it, it will only cause you more problems, you lose focus, you lose confidence, and you start blaming yourself. And if you make the mistake in the 10th minute of the game, you still have 80 minutes to play, and then the game will be really, really hard. So start having the mindset on reflecting on the game after the game, not during the game. So my second tip is to use positive self-talk to build yourself up. Remind yourself of your strengths and of your abilities. This might be hard just after making a mistake, but the more you practice, the better you will become at this. My tip number 3 is to embrace a growth mindset. If you don't know what a growth mindset is, to see everything as a learning opportunity. So if you make a mistake, rather than seeing it as a mistake, see it as a learning opportunity. For example, if you come out for a cross and you find yourself facing directly to the cross, and when you want to catch the high ball, you realize that you have to start backpedaling. And now when you're backpedaling, you can't reach the ball and the ball goes sailing over your head. Instead of seeing this as a mistake, you can learn from this. The next time you want to catch a high ball, you'll have your shoulders facing outwards to the field so that you can easily use your cross steps to get to balls that are aimed for the back area. So my tip number 3, growth mindset. My tip number 4 is to stay in the present. Stay in the now and focus on your situation right now. Focus on the next ball, the next pass, the next kick, the next save, whatever it should be. Use your breathing to relax your body, to relax your mind, to stay in the present. Maybe if your team has a corner kick, you have time to focus on your breathing. What I like to do is to inhale for 4 seconds, hold my breath for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds, hold my breath for 4 seconds, and then repeat that cycle. If you do this 4 or 5 times, or whenever you have time in the game, this really helps with your focus and to stay in the present. My 5th and final tip is communication and body language. As goalkeepers, when we make a mistake, we tend to become quiet, we tend to go into ourselves, and our body language becomes more like this. But when you make a mistake, you should be communicating even more so that your teammates can see that you're not affected by this mistake. This doesn't rock you, and even if it does, you should just act as if it doesn't. Fake it till you make it is a phrase that I use a lot, and it's especially true when you just made a mistake. Overcoming the fear of making a mistake is a journey that all goalkeepers have to go through, even the best in the game. You have to see this as a learning opportunity. You have to embrace a growth mindset. You have to talk positively to yourself, treat yourself well, focus on the present, and learn from each game and learn from each mistake. Instead of remembering every mistake you make, start remembering every save that you made, remember every good game that you played, and this will, in the end, make you a more confident and capable goalkeeper. Hopefully by now you understand that every goalkeeper is going to make mistakes. It's just about understanding this, accepting this, and learn from your mistakes. If you found that section valuable, please do subscribe to our channel. I'd really appreciate it. Now let's talk about something that many goalkeepers struggle with, is the fear of the ball itself. Many goalkeepers struggle with the fear of the ball. And if you think about it, why wouldn't they? No one wants to have someone shoot a hard ball at your face, in your stomach, between your legs, or wherever it should be. Nothing about that is normal, but thankfully, we as goalkeepers, we aren't as normal as the normal people. So the first thing you need to do if you're afraid of the ball is to acknowledge the fear. By acknowledging the fear of the ball shows that you're willing to work on the fear. All goalkeepers have once had the fear of the ball, so there's nothing strange about being afraid of the ball. If you tell yourself that you're not afraid, but your game and your training shows that you're afraid, you will never get over your fear of the ball. The second thing you need to do is to reflect on any past experiences that you had that made you feel this fear. It could have been in a one-on-one situation when the striker is free on goal and hits your face and you got nosebleed or you broke your nose or whatever it should be. You have to reflect on what causes this fear and start working on it. So my first tip for you if you're afraid of the ball is to always have a great warm-up. If you start every practice without a proper warm-up, the chances of you being afraid of the ball only increases. When we warm up, when we get our blood flowing, when we get our bodies warm, you're not as afraid of the ball as you are when you're just going into goal, having a few volleys in your hand and you think you're ready to play the game. So always have a proper warm-up. My second tip is to practice. The better you become as a goalkeeper, the more confident you become in your technique, your handling technique, your diving technique, your one-on-one technique, whatever it should be, the less afraid you'll be of the ball. By practicing hard and getting the proper goalkeeping technique and become a better goalkeeper will massively decrease your fear of the ball. My third tip for you is to use appropriate balls. If you're a young goalkeeper, don't start off with size 5 balls because these balls are heavier, they're bigger and they do hurt a little bit more than junior size balls. Playing with size 5 balls and you constantly get hit in your body and you constantly turn away because you're afraid of the ball will only develop a bad technique. What you also can do is to use softer balls. For example, these big fitness balls that you find around fitness centers. They can bounce off your body. It feels just like air. You'll feel absolutely nothing. So start practicing with those balls. You can also find smaller balls that are really soft and they don't hurt at all. So always play with the appropriate size of balls to overcome your fear of the ball. So my fourth tip is a bit of an oddball, but it's something that my old goalkeeping coach taught me, is to have someone throw the ball at your body. You can start with your stomach, then move up to your chest and end with your head. You can start with a softer ball and gradually move up to the ball size that you normally use. By doing this, your body becomes used to being hit by the ball. And if you think about it, that is what we do as goalkeepers. Everything is repetition, is consistency. And by you being hit by more and more balls, and you'll gradually find out that it doesn't hurt at all, your body will get used to it. And when your body gets used to it, your mind will get used to it, and you will gradually get over your fear of the ball. So my final tip is to practice one-on-ones. Obviously, being hit by close-range balls is a lot more frightening than being hit by long shots. If you start practicing your one-on-ones and get used to these situations and get the proper goalkeeping technique, you will also get over your fear of the ball. I see many goalkeepers coming out, they try to narrow the angle, but just as the striker shoots, they turn their body because they think that this will protect them more. But the truth is, getting the ball to your cheek does hurt a lot more than getting your ball here. One tip that I got from my goalkeeping coach is to tilt your head forwards. And when you do that, the ball will hit your forehead instead of hitting your nose. So now, instead of turning your body, start tilting your head forward. You can still see the ball through the top of your eyes. And when you get hit by the ball, it will only hit your forehead and go down to the ground. It doesn't hurt at all. So those are my tips for you if you're afraid of the ball. Being afraid of the ball as a goalkeeper is obviously not something we want to be. And the only chance of you getting over your fear of the ball is if you admit that you're afraid of the ball, you understand that it's normal to be afraid of the ball, you always make sure that you have a proper warm-up, you practice to get better as a goalkeeper, you start with softer balls, you develop the right technique, and in one-on-one situations, try tilting your head forward and you will gradually get over your fear of the ball. The ball can be frightening, but if you use these tips and tricks that I just showed you, you'll soon overcome your fear of the ball. Please tell me in the comment section down below if you found any of those tips useful, if you're gonna apply any of them to your goalkeeping routine. Some of them might have been a bit strange, but I promise you they do work. Now, let's talk about the fear of diving, and we'll start with low balls. If you haven't clicked the link in the description, I advise you to do so now. There's some really valuable free stuff some insights that you probably won't find anywhere else without paying for it. Click the link in the description, it's free. All you have to do is enter your email address and I'll send the free guides to your inbox. Many goalkeepers struggle with the fear of diving, especially to one of your sides. This comes from the basic fear that we have as human beings of falling. Nobody wants to fall on the ground, just as nobody wants to dive before you have the right technique to master the dive. All goalkeepers have once had a weaker diving side, and this is not something that just magically goes away. You have to practice to become better at diving in general, especially to your weak side. Whether it's an injury, lack of technique, or just a weaker diving side, if you want to become a great goalkeeper, you have to practice diving, also to your weaker side. You can start from a seated position, you can have the ball in your hands, and you can just glide out with the ball, catch it in front of your body. It's important that you have your arms in front of your body and lower hand as close to the ground as possible. And as you just glide out with the ball, and also to your weak side, just glide out with the ball, have one hand on top of the ball and one hand behind the ball, and just glide out. This is a fantastic drill to do in the beginning, whether you're afraid of diving to your weak side, or if you're just coming back from an injury, or if you're a young goalkeeper who hasn't yet acquired the right technique to master the art of diving. This is something that you can do all by yourself. It's obviously much more fun to have a partner to either shoot or roll the ball, but if you're just starting out, this is a fantastic drill that you can do all by yourself. And when you get more and more comfortable, you can do the same from your knees. Again, just have the ball on the ground, slide down, and have your hands in front of your body, one hand on top of the ball, one hand behind the ball. Just glide out and do the same to the other side. And when you're comfortable diving from your knees, you can stand up. I have the ball in my hand, I take a step forward and I just slide out like this. It doesn't hurt at all. I barely feel it. Again, with my right leg, ball in front of myself, and I just slide out. Landing on your side with your hands in front of your body, on the side of your arm, and also bending your knees will massively help you become more and more comfortable diving. Overcoming the fear of diving may take time, but you will be so thankful when you're just as good as diving to your right side as you are to your left side, and you'll become so much better as a goalkeeper. Overcoming your fear of diving for low balls can be a struggle, but the more you practice, the more consistent you are, the more you want it, the sooner you'll overcome your fear of diving. That was low balls. Now let's go to something a bit more frightening, the fear of diving for high balls. Now that we've covered overcoming the fear of diving for low balls, we want to overcome the fear of diving for high balls. But before getting to that top corner, we first need to master the technique, and I'll show you some simple drills that you can do to land securely and efficiently so you can dive without fear and without hurting yourself. So before we get to that top corner, I want to talk about something called the collapse dive. The collapse dive is especially useful for balls that come in the midsection. A simplified version of the collapse dive is that you take a step forward, and as the ball approaches, you want to have your face facing the ball. You want to have your hands in front of your body. And as the ball comes, you don't want to fight gravity. You just want to go slowly down with the ball and land like this. Landing on the side of my elbow with my hands facing upwards to the sky. I'm landing on the side of this knee, and my entire body takes the impact of the fall. My shoulder can't get hurt when my hand is like this. If I land like this, I will ruin my shoulders and elbows. But if I land like this with my hands facing upwards, I can barely feel anything. And also, it's really important to not land on your knees, because that will ruin your knees. If you land on the side of your knees, you can barely feel it. If you watch closely, you can see that the side of my knee and the side of my shoulder hit the ground simultaneously. So as I go for the collapse dive, you can see they're hitting the ground simultaneously. So there's not one area of my body that takes all of the impact. So to do an efficient dive, we want to take a step forward, have our hands in front of our bodies, and as we dive, we gently fall down and gently follow the flow of the dive. And we want to practice both sides. and just gently fall on the ground. It's really easy for you to practice this yourself. You can just put the ball on the ground, and as you go, fall forwards and just land safely and securely. And the more your body gets used to the impact, your body will figure out there's nothing to be afraid of, because if you have the proper technique, you will soon realize that diving for high balls is just as easy as doing what I'm doing right now. And as you get more and more comfortable with diving, when you performed the collapse dive to both sides and you're just as comfortable diving to your left as you are to your right, you can start to throw the ball a bit further away from your body and gradually build up your comfortability with diving to both sides. And I can do this all day. I barely feel it when I dive to the sides because I built up the confidence and the proper technique, which helps me to dive to both sides without feeling anything. And if you do this and you gradually build up, you'll be diving to both corners with the proper technique in no time. So keep practicing and you'll soon overcome your fear of diving for low balls and for high balls. So that was everything about diving in this video. If you found that useful, please do like and subscribe to our channel. Now I'll cover something that I used to struggle with when I was a young goalkeeper, the fear of goal kicks. For me, this is a big one, the fear of goal kicks. When I was younger, I always struggled with the fear of goal kicks. And it wasn't because I couldn't kick the ball, it was all going on inside of my head. So let's talk about the 3 types of goal kicks. With the new rules emerging, you can obviously pass the ball to one of your defenders who are now able to come into the penalty box and receive the ball. Many pass the ball and they think that their job is done. But what they don't realize is that when they have played the ball to one of their defenders, they need to get back into position, be ready to receive the ball again. If your defender should face any difficulties, he can play the ball to you and you can kick it upfield. Or if you're brave enough, you can take the ball and pass it to your other defender or find your fullback. So when you use the short goal kick, don't think your job is done when you just pass the ball. Another tip with a short goal kick is to practice passing with both your feet, because if you have to turn like this, if you're right-legged and you have to pass to your right, then everyone on the field will see it and it will be a lot easier for the opposition team to put the pressure on. The next goal kick is the medium-long goal kick. These goal kicks are normally targeted for your fullbacks or your wingers when you kick the ball over the attackers and straight to your fullback or your winger. When you hit these kind of goal kicks, you want to get the ball fast to your fullbacks. You don't want the ball to go as high because you don't want to give the other team time enough to move their team over and put your team under pressure. But the type of goal kick that I'm going to focus on is the long goal kick. When I played against goalkeepers who naturally kicked the ball longer than me, I always wanted to kick the ball as far as they did, and that always caused me problems. When I got more confident and just accepted that I didn't kick the ball as far as them, even though I tried to work on it, when I understood this, it massively helped me overcome my fear of goal kicks, and my goal kicks became a lot better. So a goal kick actually starts with your mind. You have to be able to visualize a good goal kick before even kicking the ball. And as you become better at kicking goal kicks, it will become easier for you to visualize those successful goal kicks and getting the ball high and further up the field. So before even placing the ball, visualize yourself kicking a great goal kick. After you successfully visualized a successful goal kick, you need to find a good spot on the field, especially if you're playing on grass. This is artificial ground, so that is not as important as it is on grass pitches. And when you place the ball, I like to place it in the center, but many goalkeepers find it easier to place it on one of the sides. When you place it on the sides, you obviously tell your team that you're going to kick to the side that the ball is placed. But for the purpose of this video, that doesn't really matter. When you place the ball on your 6-yard box, you want to place your foot beside the ball. You want to have a ball size between your foot and the ball that you're gonna kick, your toes pointing towards your target. Use your big bone on your feet. Ensure that you hit the lower half of the ball, aiming slightly left of the center of the ball. A tip that I have for you is to always place the logo of the ball straight towards you so you can see exactly where to hit the ball. You want to have your foot locked. You want to be hitting through the ball. Think of your goal kick as a golf player trying to shoot a golf ball. When a golfer shoots the golf ball, the foot is locked. You don't want to hit the ball with a sloppy wrist. You want to have your wrist really stiff. If you hit the ball with your wrist being like this, you won't get the distance and the height on the ball, and the ball will most likely spin towards you. Now take 4 to 6 steps back, whatever you're comfortable with. Find your distance, then take 2 steps to the side. And now you can see that I'm not facing the ball straight on. I want to have a bit of an angle because that gives me better chances of getting the height and the distance to my goal kick. And when you start running up to the ball, you have to have a very measured run up to the ball. The thing that's important is the last step that you take towards the ball. Your last step needs to be a bit longer to generate the power and the height that I want in my goal kick. And the beauty of goal kicks is that you are totally in charge. You can always train goal kicks. All you need is a ball. You can place the ball, you place the logo to be facing you. You do the same technique every time and you try to hit the upper net of the goal. So I have my logo here. It's facing towards me and I want to hit the ball just under and beside the logo. So I place my standing foot a ball size away from the ball. I take my steps back. I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I take 2 steps to the side. I run towards the ball slowly, and my last kick is a longer one. As you can see, my ball is going upwards, and that is exactly what we want in a goal kick. So as you can see now, by practicing goal kicks, you will naturally overcome your fear of goal kicks, and it will become a lot easier for you to visualize a successful goal kick, which will help you overcome your fears of goal kicks. So start practicing. This is what I did. This is how I got over the fear of goal kicks. And you can do exactly the same. I hope you found that section useful. This is an area where I really struggled when I was a young goalkeeper. Overcoming this fear was probably the biggest milestone in my goalkeeping career. As a goalkeeper, there are so many goal kicks that you'll have to take. So the sooner you become comfortable with your kicking, with your goal kicks, the easier it will be to be a goalkeeper. And it all starts with practice. If you found that section useful, please do subscribe to our channel. Also, if you have any questions about anything related to fear, please use the comment section down below. I'll do my very best to help you as well and as soon as possible. Now let's cover another topic which many goalkeepers struggle with, is the fear of crosses. Many goalkeepers struggle with the fear of crosses. It could be the fear of misjudging the ball, which could lead to a mistake and a goal against, or it's maybe the fear of the physical contact of all the players coming in. This psychological aspect often leads to goalkeepers staying on the line, and even if it's a ball that we should be coming out to, instead of going for the ball, we choose to stay. So crosses start in your head. You can know all the technical aspects of coming out for crosses, but if you don't have your head with you, it will be very difficult for you to come out of your goal to collect those crosses. So let's start with our body position. It might seem strange, but when a cross comes from that side, your shoulder have to face the field. So if a cross comes in here, my body position should be like this. I should face the field. Many goalkeepers I see, they stand like this. But the problem with standing like this is that if the ball goes over your head, it's very difficult for you to get to the back post because you have to back paddle, and when you back paddle, it's really difficult to get any height in your jump. But if you align your shoulders outwards to the field, you have no problems getting to the first post, you have no problems going out, and also if the ball should go over your head, you can use your cross steps to easily get to the back post. So tip number 1, align your shoulders outwards to the field. It will become a lot easier. So the second thing that I want to talk about is your positioning on the field. As the winger or fullback or whoever comes closer to your goal, you have to retreat simultaneously. So if it's a left-footed shooter from the left side who's ready to cross an outswinging ball, I can stay 2 or 3 steps out of my goal, ready to help my defenders if a cross should come in. And also, I'm comfortable covering my near post if he's a cheeky player who could potentially shoot. But then again, if it's a right-footed player who's playing an in-swinging cross, then I need to take a step back, maybe take a small step towards my near post, because now he can more easily bend the ball into the near post. Most players will try and bend it to the back post, but there are also players who try and shoot hard low cross to the front area, or maybe they take a shot on goal, and if they do that, I want to be able to retreat fast back to my line to either save the shot or to defend the low cross. You want to give yourself some space to come out, to collect the ball, to really challenge those strikers and gain momentum with your leg up high and your hands above their heads. So now let's say that a left-legged player has come to the goal line. You don't want to be standing out here, because now he has 2 options. He will either pass it hard to the front area, or he will try and lob the ball to the back area. Any other cross is really difficult to make. Obviously, there will be situations where he will be making other crosses. Sometimes they just launch the ball towards the middle of the goal and hope for the best. But what most wingers and fullbacks try to do when they come to that area is to either pass it on the ground or to lob it over you. So instead of positioning yourself forward, you now have to take some steps towards the near post. When it's a left-footed player, he can obviously not score from there. So we can cheat a little bit. We can stay a few steps off the line. We want to have our body position like this. We're now ready to attack the front area and also defend our goal. We're ready to help our defenders by going out like this to cut out the ball's angle. And also with our cross steps, we can defend some parts of the back area. If it's a right-footed player who makes a dribble, you obviously have to take a few steps further to your near post. He can now attempt to hit the goal, and you want to be ready to save the ball. So now that we got all the tactical things in order, it's time to actually think about catching the cross itself. The beauty of the timing of crosses is that you can easily train it by yourself. You can just start by throwing a ball up in the air and try and catch it. And as you become more and more comfortable with the throwing, you can start kicking the ball and catch higher balls, which is obviously more difficult. The higher the ball goes up, the more difficult it becomes to catch the cross. It's obviously more fun to have a partner. You can have your goalkeeping coach or a friend of yours just start by throwing the ball into the area, and you go out and collect the ball. You can even train your punches with someone throwing the ball. And as you get more and more comfortable with your crosses, you can have your friend or goalkeeping coach or wherever it should be go further down the line, and now he can throw the ball over his head. Now the ball will come in differently and you'll have to adjust to that. And when you're comfortable enough with your technique, with your timing, you can have someone shoot the cross, which again will be something that you have to adjust to. He won't be hitting every time. Sometimes he might be hitting easy balls, slow balls, floating balls into the area to help you develop your timing and your technique. And you can also have someone, if it's a skilled shooter, to shoot more spinning balls, so have both in-swinging crosses and out-swinging crosses. It's important that you train both sides, because if you only train one side, you obviously become just good at catching crosses from one side. Crosses can come in all ways, different shapes and forms. They can come fast, they can come slow, they can spin inwards, they can outwards, and the wind and the weather may play a difference. Being able to anticipate and understand all these kind of crosses and position yourself accordingly is crucial if you want to master crossing. Thanks for watching this video. This is a subject that I really wanted to cover, because as a goalkeeper I had these struggles myself. I see a lot of general overcoming diving fear on YouTube, but I don't see anyone talking about all the fears that I've talked about today. I really hope you can use this video to overcome your fears, and if you got any value out of this video, I'd really appreciate a subscribe and a like. And also, if you have any questions about anything goalkeeping related, I'll be happy to answer any question in the comment section. If you want to watch the next video on our channel, you'll find it somewhere here above my head. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.